Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's talk about Carlos King protecting Martel like he always does. I personally feel like this messy Mondays or whatever you call it would have been a good opportunity to discuss the Martel incident where Melody and Marsau and Tisha were discussing Martel, and where he was clearly exposed for being a liar and not sticking to the no contact order. That was another opportunity for Carlos King to clear it up, to make it clear that he does not have favorites, but yet he chose not to do that. The focus of the episode was Martel and his shenanigans in some way. There was the Martel talking to Nell, and then there was the bit where Melody, Marsau, and Tisha had a sit down. So I find it very convenient that it was just completely ignored, like it did not happen. This is part of what I feel like they like to gaslight the viewers. There is no way that anyone can tell me this ain't gaslighting. How can you comfortably avoid speaking on that? And I'm not being funny, but I don't think it was a mistake. You know how people make mistakes about not talking about certain scenes because the scene was not that interesting, was not that important, was not that crucial, but you're doing a recap. And you mean to tell me that the scene that everyone on YouTube is talking about is the one scene you refuse to address? That is not looking good. And I want to talk all about it. Also want to talk about Dustin calling out Trish and what was discussed in relation to Marquez. So let's get into today's video. If you're new to this channel, I do commentary on reality TV shows. I do reviews and recaps, just as my name suggests, and on celebrity news. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also tap that bell button so you know every single time that I post or go live. And please like, share, and don't forget to let me know what you think in the comment section below. So in the last Messy Mondays, Carlos King had Dustin, Brianna, Marie, and Jamie, and it felt like they focused the conversation more on Trish, Ken, and Marquez. Now, I understand why they will talk about that, but I don't think it is a balanced show because Carlos King chose not to talk about Martel. Now, we know that Carlos King allegedly, well, I better give my disclaimer now. Everything I say in this video is alleged, in my opinion only, and for entertainment purposes. Okay, let's get back into it. I personally feel that Carlos King could have used this opportunity to talk about it, used this opportunity to talk about Martel, but somehow you carefully avoid the conversation in relation to Martel and focus the conversation about Trisha, Ken, and Marquez like they are an interesting part of the show. I do not feel that Trish has what it takes to be successful on a reality TV show. I don't think she's vocal enough. I don't think she has a personality that is inviting. So it's very hard for anyone to resonate with her. It's very hard for anyone to even understand what she's saying because she's always speaking through her teeth. So I just think that no matter how you slice and dice it, it is not an interesting enough topic or incident for us to talk about because the personality just ain't there. If someone else had the storyline that Trish, Ken, and Marquez have, they would be hitting it. They would be doing so well on Love and Marriage Huntsville right now. But I just think they don't have the personalities to pull it off. And it feels very disjointed. But I'll talk about that in a second. I want to really focus a little bit more on Carlos King and Martel, and then I will talk about Trish, Ken, and Marquez shortly afterwards. So make sure you watch the video until the end. I feel like Carlos is constantly rooting for Martel. And I understand wanting someone to do better, but this man has called you out. He has discredited the show, which is the #1 show on OWN. Imagine discrediting the show so much by insinuating that they are paid actors. Yet you still have this man. He has called you out for saying that you don't film his real life. He even had the audacity to tag you in stuff, allegedly. At least this is from my recollection. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But he had the audacity to tag you in stuff and come at you like that. Imagine your employee is coming for you, the employer. Do you know how wild that is? Yet you still kept him. Let's not forget there were rumors of him attacking allegedly someone from production at a reunion. And that wasn't filmed. That wasn't referenced. There were no consequences for those actions. So it is obvious that Martel can do stuff with no consequences. Yet, I bet if other people on the show did that, the consequences would have resulted in being fired. Just struggle to understand what is Martel going to do that would be too far and allow CK to be like, okay, enough is enough. Let's go our separate ways. I don't think that's ever going to happen. As crazy as things have been, Martel is still getting the good edits because a lot of the castmates are still not talking about the revenge P openly on TV. How is it that manages to go under the radar just like that? Nobody's addressing the fact that Martel continues to contact Melody even though there was a no contact order in place, except in relation to the children. Now, I do know, and I have covered this over on this channel, that the no contact order has now been extended to be no contact whatsoever, irrespective, and even if it's about the children, only because Martel just couldn't keep his hands to himself. He just could not. He just has to text or contact Melody in some way. I find it rich, and I think it's enabling behavior to not speak on it. Let's not act like that was just some secondary thing that didn't really come up. When people say Carlos has favorites, Martel is definitely a favorite of Carlos because he seems to be the one person that can do any and everything, that can disrespect Carlos publicly, and yet Carlos will not be speaking on it. Carlos can do a recap and not say nothing and be mute about it and say everything but what you really should be addressing. This is why people constantly ask, does he have something on you, Carlos King? This is a question. I'm not stating it as a fact. I just feel like it's concerning that you would not put a stop to this. You know, this is what people outside looking in and watching the show, that's the opinions they have about it. And not once do you correct it if it's a terrible opinion that keeps lingering. Is there something that we need to know about? At least from the Scots, allegedly, we feel like they have been covering up for Martel for a long time because of fear of what Martel would say. But now they don't care anymore. And you see how Martel handled them. So are you scared of the repercussions that would take place if you decide to speak on Martel? At this point, are you the employer or is Martel the employer? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I can't be the only one that thinks it's wild that Carlos King will not discuss that, but instead will be focusing on the other things. It's just very, very weird to me. Now, let's talk about Marquez, Tisha, or Trisha. Oh, goodness. Their names are so similar. It's annoying. Trisha and Ken. I would say this. I personally feel like the speech that Ken was given was a little bit, it felt like it was almost like coming from Marquez a little bit. I personally don't think it's appropriate. I feel like it should be about the children. There's no need to be throwing little jabs left and right in front of the children on camera. Just felt weird to me. That was my personal view on it. Now, Dustin did call out Marquez for basically coming to the party empty-handed. And I agree. I do not like people going to places empty-handed. If you notice, the one person that usually goes to events and never goes empty-handed is Melody. And I think it's basic etiquette. Whenever I'm going over to a friend's house, whatever the case may be, I take a bottle of wine, I take candles, I take something over there. At least for the most part, unless it's something where you already did something that same week and I already came through for you and I'm like, girl, my account balance needs to rest, okay? But aside that, I feel like it's very basic standard etiquette for him to have at least brought something. Now, in all fairness to Marquez, we don't know what he did behind the scenes, whether or not he had already given a gift and did not bring it on camera, because that could also be possible. I did like, though, that Carlos King pointed out that Marquez does have a job and he actually works. So that is good to know, because I feel like the way he's being portrayed, it sounds like he ain't got no job, doesn't have no money, and he is begging Ken and Trish for money. We did have an interesting input, and I want to talk about that. She talked about like when she was a kid, her mother wasn't always around because she had like some substance abuse issues, and that even at like graduation parties, birthday events, her dad will still acknowledge her mom in front of his new wife. I think that is a very sweet man. I feel like all he cared about was his daughter, and trying to make sure that his daughter was taken care of and felt the love of the father. But also, even though the mom may not always be physically present, he took the effort to try to remind her that she does have a mom. And I think she would have appreciated that. I think children generally do not like when one parent is shading the other parent. It puts them in a weird predicament. It almost makes it seem like they're in the middle and they have to choose a parent. Nobody wants to be in that situation. That's not to say certain parents don't have certain faults, but most children like to think of their parents as innocent and lovely people, and it's only when they grow up that they start to realize certain things about each parent, right? But I feel like creating a scene in front of everyone, in front of the children, is unnecessary. That was not the time or the place. And I'm saying that to Ken and Marquez. I felt like there was a way that the speech did not have to be said in that way. Dustin also touched on something that I thought was interesting, and I can't lie, I agree. You guys know I've talked about this a little bit on the channel. Dustin said he feels like Trisha signing the divorce papers was basically motivated by the viewers, because people have nicknamed her Trisha Be Lying, and she be lying. So he almost feels like she's doing it for the audience and shot the scene with the notary because she's probably reading comments about being called a liar. Thing is, especially when you lie so much, like she could have called this whole Martel thing and handled it so differently. It was like she lied once and then kept lying, and I don't think anyone is going to forget about that in a hurry. It's going to take a lot for people to start trusting Trisha, in my opinion. And I don't think she has the personality to even get people to forget about it. I also wonder, did she ever audition to be on the show? Because I really struggle to see what she brings to the show. And I hope it's not just me. Like, I don't want anyone to lose their jobs or anything, but I really wonder, like, when she did the audition, what Tisha or what Trisha did she show them? If she did an audition, because I genuinely don't understand what Trisha could have been interesting enough to bring on the show. I do wonder if it was more she was brought on the show because of her affiliations with Martel, and they knew that Martel was going to do enough to pull that out, as opposed to being based on her as a person or as a personality. I don't like her personality. I don't really think she brings anything to the show. I don't really think Ken brings much to the show either. So I just don't see what they're doing on the show. And I don't know if it's just me. It could be just me. But let me know what you think. If it was up to me, I would be like, get rid of Trisha and Ken on the show. They don't bring anything to the show. I would also get rid of Kimmy and Maurice. You can bring Kimmy as a friend of the show if you want to, but I would get rid of Maurice and Kimmy as full-time cast members as well, because I feel like having two Scots on the show is affecting how the show dynamic should be. They could have made a whole 3 good episodes out of Maurice's DUI, but because they're choosing not to talk about it and approach it in such a way that they're doing gang and nobody on the cast is talking about it, I feel like there needs to be a reshuffle, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, and tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.